Do you ever wonder what life would be like if you didn't go to college? Or if you're not there yet, you chose not to go to college? We've all had that fear of flunking out of school, not knowing what to do, having no direction, and ending up at the drive through window. Thankfully, my grades were fairly good enough, at least, not to flunk out of school. But I did drop out, and I actually did end up at the drive through window. What I was about to find out in the next 6 months was that there's many paths to learn the same lessons in life. Sunday story time. By the end of high school, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. The only kind of thing I knew I wanted to do was that I wanted to help people. This thought eventually led me to social service worker program at Conestoga College. I got accepted to this program. Like any good college first year, I definitely gained the freshman 15. I ended up turning into freshman 20 within the first couple months. It was super cool. I loved everything I was learning. All the classes, everything. This isn't any kind of negative push towards school. I just knew it wasn't the way that I was most attentive and engaged in learning. Obviously, I don't think I knew this at the time. I just felt very pushed away from it eventually, and something didn't seem right. So I dropped out. Now I realize I'm out of shape. I'm not happy. Put a little picture right here of the guy that was looking in the mirror. I tend to look at this picture sometimes just to kind of remind myself where I was. Looking at that guy, I definitely know that it took a lot to get from where that was to where I am. And that started with my health journey back home. This is probably the darkest time I felt in my entire life, probably to this point. I was working at McDonald's in my hometown. I was also working at a movie store in this time. I was going to the gym with my best friend, Mason. At 180 pounds, turned into about 153 pounds within 4 months, I would say. So that really, I think, engaged another side of me. Not that that made me happy, because deep down I was still miserable. I still didn't know what to do. It wasn't until my sister, who I was living with at the time, she thought it'd be a good idea for me to travel. She thought it'd really benefit me and I'd really enjoy it as an experience. It's something she's gotten to do a little bit of. I ended up having two options. On this side, there was Australia, doing an au pair, which is basically a nanny job. And the other side was a small oil and military town in Cold Lake, Alberta. And I had that opportunity through a friend in high school, Mark, and I, I ended up taking the Cold Lake opportunity and spent the last $400 I had to get my first plane ride ever out there. First time I'd ever been out west, and had no idea what was to come. It took me a bit to get me a job, actually, and to be completely honest, I wasn't that ambitious at going after it, which I totally should have been. I was in a completely new place, had no idea what to expect. It was the first time really jumping into the unknown, and it scared the shit out of me. Where did that land me? Right back at McDonald's. Except this time was definitely an eye-opening and completely different experience. This McDonald's, I actually worked with almost completely Filipinos, and I never really had a chance to work with many people from other cultures, being from a small little farm town. I'll share a little story about the first kind of experience I remember, and that was the Christmas party. And I'd only worked there about 2 weeks, and everyone was super nice, super warm, super welcoming. It honestly felt like when you walked into those doors that you were walking into a big family every day. It's super cool. And I just remember my coworkers leading up to the party the first few days, they were asking me if I drank. I was kind of assuming that these guys like to party a bit. So before the Christmas party, I ended up having a few drinks. I got pretty tipsy, and I show up, and I shouldn't have been surprised because not only is everyone there, but everyone and their families are there, and everyone's there sharing this Christmas together. So now I'm trying to keep it together. By the end of the night, I got to sit down with a few people. We were talking about money, and there's a lot of money in this town. What he told me was all these people around us, they have $70,000 trucks and boats and quads and all these things. And for us, we only need 3 meals a day, and we're happy. That's all we need. We don't need any of those things. We just need 3 meals a day, and we're happy. That was kind of the big thing for me in that job, that really sticks. And from that moment on, I really took appreciation for the people around me. Helped me see something that I was kind of lacking, I think, in my own life. And not only at work, but it was the boys at home who also helped me realize that connection with my family that I was personally lacking, that I kind of needed to fix from my upbringing with my brothers and sisters. Staying around where I was probably about 160 pounds coming out to Alberta. And through that winter, all the four of us started getting going in the gym, and it started getting a lot easier. And the importance, I think, of a crew when you're trying to get a goal like health or going to the gym or artistically, creatively, whatever it might be. I think if your engine's not going one day, you've got that backup engine in the boys or the girls or the family, whoever it might be. After that winter, it was about 4 months, and I gained about 15 pounds. So I was about 5 pounds shy of that freshman 20 I gained. So that alone, the body transformation that I went through in this year or so, was kind of the next transition into realizing that if I can change my body like that, can I resculpt my mind like that? But of course, like any good wave, we must ride. When there's ups, there's always downs. And my down in Cold Lake came in the form of something called shingles. So it's super painful. You're not supposed to really get it until you're older. I don't want to say older, like your 50s, 60s. No offense to anyone who's in their 50s or 60s, because you're obviously still young and full of life. But what I want to kind of take out of this is a moment that, again, I really hold true to my heart from all this. I remember in that time, I was unbearable. Like my stomach was knotted. I wasn't puking up anything. It was just like over and over, nasty. I won't get into too much to that, but I said, you're gonna get through this. There's gonna be another side. And for some of us, unfortunately, there isn't. And things just end. And that's another unexplainable thing in itself. But for me, I knew in that moment that there would be an end, and there would be a time when I would be on the other side of this and I wouldn't be experiencing pain. And that didn't make the pain any less, or it didn't make it hurt any less, but it relieved a sense of that pain that made it feel like it would never end. To this day, those shingles can come back at any time. If I'm stressed or if I have a low immune system, and I'm 24 years old, I got them when I was about 21. So it's something I have to keep in my mind every day. So that's why health ended up being super important for me. And then realizing that I needed to change my mind as well. The coolest thing, I started to use a little saying like, shingles is now my superpower, because when I get stressed or when I'm starting to get sick, they start to flare up a bit. Like I feel little jolts of pain. And that's my little sensor. It's like my little monitor that tells me like, hey man, you're stressing out, or hey, you're getting a little sick. And I have to find my way back down, wherever that may be. I think it's a pretty cool superpower to have. Just spin it. Spin it in the coolest way you can. I love freaking superheroes, so it's my superpower. So coming home, I was very much feeling back at square one. Body wise, career wise, no movement there really. Financial wise, I didn't really come back with any more money than I left with. And this left me feeling pretty bummed out. But there were things that when you look real closely, and when I have the time now, a few years later, 3, 4 years later, to reflect upon, there's some real value that comes out of those things. So, as much as I didn't feel like there was a lot of external growth that came from this experience, there was so much internal growth and so many seeds that were planted in this time. Learning about these things that I was curious about, and getting a camera again, picking up a camera, being curious about photography, being curious about writing, being curious about how to explore and improve my mind, learning about psychology, learning about philosophy, learning about the universe, cultures, religions, anything I could. I was basically just consuming and absorbing um, in new ways, understanding that I had to learn. We may believe that there's one path to get where we need to go, wherever it may be. I just want you to know that there are multiple paths to get the exact same life lessons or learning lessons or experience, and there's multiple routes, so don't ever feel like you're stuck. I think education is definitely key no matter how you're getting it. So I'm here to basically pump up education and say we're all here to learn and grow in the best way possible. And I just want to make sure that you're doing that for you. So I want to leave you with a question. Have you ever had an experience that's radically shifted your perspective on how you look at life? Take a minute, really think about it. Something that's radically shifted your perspective on life. If you're feeling bold, share it in the comments below. If you're not feeling so bold, but you still want to share, DM me. I want to hear your stories. This isn't just about me. It's about sharing stories. I think stories are super powerful. I think they're supposed to be fun, but I also think stories are what help us learn. There are plenty of stories in this time in Cold Lake and in my time at McDonald's that have helped sculpt me into the human being that I am today.